Hello, welcome to the channel and thanks for watching. A bit of an unusual video today. This is kind of a three-pronged attack video. Firstly, to say thank you for 2 years on YouTube. I'm going to ramble about that. Secondly, just show you where I'm at with my current painting. So we're up to Mortari here. And then thirdly, I'm going to unbox, kind of, my metal Thunderhawk gunship that I've had for 20 odd years and has kind of been referenced on the channel before, and a few of you have asked to show through the box and the certificates and things I've shown you. So 2 years on YouTube. Firstly, this was kind of hoping to be a culmination of the second year. So I started 25th of November 2020, so a little couple of days after that when this video is going to get published. Would have been kind of nice to finish on Mortarian for the second year, but not to be. He will be coming on the channel soon. You can see him on the painting table now. Done a lot in 2 years. Obviously a lot of Death Guard. Started that 18 months ago, but this year I started off by doing my Nurgle Night Army. Really enjoyed it. Did a massive game with it in the middle of the year, which I showed briefly on the channel, big 10,000 pointer, and then in my typical fashion I then sold that Night Army, because that's kind of how I've done it for years and years. Once I've done a project, once it's finished in my mind, I'm not going to add anything more to it, I do tend to then get rid and sell it. Not all the time. Some things I've kept for years after I've finished it, some things I've got rid of fairly quickly, and the Knights I got rid of fairly quickly. Do I regret that? Maybe slightly. I've got a big game coming up in January against a friend with the Titan. But hey ho, it's how it goes, isn't it? So that's part of what I've done for the year. Now, I always show on the channel kind of my painting desk. I use a variety of paints. I use Citadel, I use the Flames of War stuff, which is actually Vallejo, lots of Vallejo paints. I use army paints and that kind of thing. I just bought a lot of new paints, we'll talk about in a second. So I always show this. I never show my actual painting box. Referenced it, it's been in the corner of some pictures, and I did say it's a Thunderhawk gunship box, and if anyone fancies me talking through it, I will do. So here we go. Now, I don't, to make it super clear, I don't own the actual metal ship anymore. Mentioned that I sell my stuff, and this was something that went the way of eBay many years ago, but I've never got rid of the box because it is the world's coolest paint box, or at least I think so. Someone did offer me £1,000 for the box at one point about 5 years ago, because they had a metal Thunderhawk gunship, didn't have the box, and I said no. Maybe slightly foolishly, because you know, £1,000 is a lot of money, but this is probably the one thing I'm never going to sell, because it is the greatest paint box, and it kind of reminds me of my entire kind of hobby journey. So when did I buy this? This is the certificate that comes with it, with a very nice kind of rubber seal kind of on the back. When I got it, I sliced through the top, so you keep that rubber seal intact, and I had this at the end of '99, I think it was. I finished university. I was working at Games Workshop. After university, I worked part-time in uni. Did about 6 months working in Games Workshop Harrogate, did a bit of time in York, and then that was on the management program, and then became a store manager. And I got this when I was a frontline colleague. So I picked it up December '99. I was allowed to order it. They were running out. So we had 500 of these. They were getting to the very end. And the regional manager at the time, I got on quite well with him. I said, look, I really want it, but I can't afford to buy it in one go. You know, I'm a poor frontline colleague. And he let me do it in like 4 equal instalments. Very nice of him. £200. You got these at half price for staff. They were 40,000 pence or 400 quid. And I was working again, Games Workshop Harrogate, when I got this. And it was a great model. 4 instalments, took it home at the end, and I built it fairly quickly actually. And there's a lot of trauma and drama on the net with people who have bought these recently and said they're an absolute nightmare. They're not. They were fine. I think I built it over a weekend, painted it in a couple of days, carried on. Not that difficult, especially nowadays they wouldn't be, because the amount of technology we've advanced in terms of how to build and pin and construct things. It was a great model. I am going to try and dig pictures out of my actual Thunderhawk, because I did sell it on eBay, so I'm sure there's pictures somewhere in the firmament, so I'll have a go at finding mine. If not, I'll put pictures up of, you know, what these things look like. So you got a rather cool certificate. This was in the days before Forge World were issuing certificates for the Titans. I mean, this is in the days before they did many of the Titans. I think the Warhound was the only one you could get at this kind of time. Nice certificate, name on the top there. There we go. Really should put this in a frame. You know, it's only taken me 20 years to get around to to doing it. Now, the box, the big thing. From what I remember, the Thunderhawk gunship was given as a project to someone who was moving on to either be a regional manager or somewhere at director level or something, was given a project to do the Thunderhawk gunship, and that's kind of why it developed as it did. And whoever it was, I cannot remember the name. I do know the name, but it escapes me at the moment. Did a fantastic job. So the wooden box that came in was varnished, and I believe it was literally that person sat and varnished every single one of them himself. I've heard loads of stories about these things over the years. And on the outside, these Aquillas here, these were actually the same as the ones that you stuck on the sides of the Thunderhawk. And literally someone just obviously bent them with chisel or whatever to do them. A lot of people online seem to show pictures of their boxes and these have fallen off, but mine have lasted quite well. Just 4 little pins, or 3 little pins, 4 pins on each side, holding it on. Very, very nice. My box has seen slightly better days. I've never revarnished it or anything, and you do have a tendency sometimes of, you know, you drop your mug of tea or something on there, so it is a bit faded on the top. This has been sat on various desks over 20 years, holding my paint. When you look at the varnish level at the front, a few scuffs, but it's definitely in better colour and condition on the top. But it is a lovely weighty box. So let's get into the actual thing, and in here is where there would have been hundreds of small metal pieces stored. I have taken out the dividers that would run here. They were just some little cheap wooden dividers, and I haven't got the key anymore for the lock, maybe somewhere in a box. But other than that, it's in relatively good nick. There was a chunk of foam in the top there, taking it out so I could fit more paints in. And you can see a bit of Monty Python sticker from when I went to see a Monty Python film at the cinema in London, and just some random bits. And I have at some point used this for dry brushing. Probably stopped, I don't know when that was, could have been 20 years ago for all I know. And in here then I'll just show you quickly how I store my paint. I mentioned before I've just recently bought a load of new paint. All these contrast paints from Games Workshop, these are all brand spanking new. This is for the next project. I'm finally going to get around to painting my Hero Quest. Again, that's been on the channel 8-9 months ago now. That's going to be coming up soon. And again, a mix of Vallejo, Army Painter, in the dropper bottles, and then Games Workshop paints. I know there are other paint ranges out there, but I do tend to stick to those 3. If you've got any good recommendations of a really good paint range, look, give me a yell. I'm always up for trying sort of new things. The thing you might notice is I've got a lot of black, a lot of McCrag blue, and a lot of Retributor armour. That's because I bought multiple copies of the Conquest set when it was out, kind of 3-4 years ago. I was working in London at the time, so that makes it 4 years ago, yeah. So yeah, but multiple copies, so multiple paints, gradually going down, but these are 3 of the paints that I do use quite a lot of. So that's the box. I lifted this out. This is just something I'd advise everyone to do whenever you're painting. Make a list of the paints you've used. I'm about to start doing my Caliban's fists again, which didn't really feature on the channel other than the bases. Did a basing video of them. If you don't write down exactly the paints you use, the amount of times you'll forget and do it wrong. Fine for me now because I've got a YouTube channel, and that's part of the reason I started a channel, was I do a hobby journey, and why not track it? So dead easy for me now to go back and see what paints I'm using, but I would always recommend that. So I did a big British and Zulu army for black powder, and that's the paint scheme for them there, exactly what I used. Now that army I sold years ago. Did a few very, very big games with them, lots and lots of models painted, really enjoyed it, and I may at some point do Zulus again, and I keep them for everything, no matter what I've done over the years. You know, whatever that is on the back of there, so that's obviously something different. I've done paint sets from Flames of War, always really useful to keep, and then some British paratroopers. Again, 4 bolt action, and I've sold, but I have actually just ordered myself a British paratrooper army again, 4 bolt action, so always useful to know how you did it. That's it. That really is the paint box. I do think it's the greatest paint box in the world. Thunderhawk gunship. I know there can't be many people with them because there's only 500 ever made. A couple are at head office. So I just think it's quite a unique paint box. It's a nice thing to have. It's a nice reminder of my hobby journey. I don't get too precious about keeping models. For me, once I've done the models, the fun is the building, the painting. Once you've had your couple of games with them, you move on to another project. And to be fair, I can't really fill the house full of toy soldiers. I've definitely done that before. Not in that world now, and I like to move on to new projects, do new things, have a bit more experimentation. So for this to stay in my collection for this long is, you know, a testament, I suppose, of what I feel about it in that sense. So that was a bit of a quick run through of that. The main reason for the video though is just to reflect on my second year in YouTube. Done quite a lot of things. I hope that everyone that's followed along has enjoyed them. This isn't a channel for, you know, making money or becoming a career or anything like that. This is to follow my personal hobby journey, and just for a bit of fun. And it's really pleasing that so many of you have followed along. A couple of thousand people now. A lot, and thank you for following. I really do hope you enjoy what I do. I will continue to track my very personal hobby journey. I'll talk about occasionally, you know, what I'm doing and why, but mostly it'll just be what I've painted that week and what I've been doing in the hobby. So I do hope you enjoy that, and I hope you continue following along. Thank you all. It's been a really good last year, really good 2 years so far. Let's hope there's a few more years in it and I keep enjoying myself and you keep enjoying what I'm doing. So yeah, thank you all very much. Like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz, and I'll see you on another video.